Hey everybody, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. All right, good. So I'm going to mute all of you because I have the power. And yes, Carla, I remembered to start the video. Thank you. There's mute all. And there you go, and yes. And in fact, my notes today, right at the very top, start recording. Oh my gosh. Well, hey everybody, welcome. I'm so glad you're joining us again tonight. And thanks for the time change. It seems to work out better for everybody. Things are pretty nice here. It's kind of hot, but we've had a really good day and a lot of fun. First, we need to talk about etiquette. So here we go, Zoom etiquette. Dun, 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 dun. Remember to mute yourself. Keep yourself muted, and I can mute you as we go along. And just keep kind of half an eye on that. And Mike's over on the back over there watching me too, so he'll remind me to like remute everybody if that becomes an issue. It's a little, we're all technologically challenged a little bit when it comes to this. If you're comfortable with it, please turn on your video. It's really nice for us to all be able to see each other, and feel free to do that. But be careful that it's always appropriate. You know, if you need to excuse yourself for a bio break, you can turn off your video, turn off your sound, and that's fine. We don't want to have anything distracting and create our own YouTube sensation. I'll act as moderator, and give me a thumbs up if I have your permission to redirect the group, because I think we're going to do a little bit more questioning and answering today. So give me a thumbs up. If we all get off track, I can have your permission to say, hey guys, let's topic change, whatever. Great, thank you. Even Randy figured out how to do the virtual thumbs up. Good job, Randy. So introductions are next, and of course I'm getting very sophisticated with our introductions. And today we have Cindy Hoff, who submitted a video for a lesson this week and had a really good time with it, and boy did I enjoy that. And I wanted to, she gave us permission to share portions of her video, and then we'll show you what she's working on. And the real thing I like about this whole idea of coming together like this is so often I'm doing a private lesson here, a private lesson there, somebody gets a breakthrough here, somebody gets another breakthrough there, and it's their own thing, and it's really hard to share it with everybody. And I always think, man, it'd be so cool if everybody could have been a bird on a wire watching that in that moment. So the positive of this is we can like start to not recreate, but share those moments with each other and celebrate them. And I think that's really helpful to keeping that focus and moving forward. So thank you, Cindy. And then we have a student named Krista. And Krista is new to Parelli, and she's got her first horse. She's so excited. And she's at the barn where I am at down here. And she's been working on the Catch Me game. And so we actually used sticks, and she was able to go catch sticks out in the big field. So we videoed the whole thing, and the angles of it were just perfect. So the setup there is really nice that we can all take a look at some high quality Catch Me game and how to set your horse up for that. It doesn't matter what level you're at, level 1, 2, 3, 4. The Catch Me game is all about psychology of draw, and that's huge, as you know. So great. So that's introductions. Also, let me know if there's a topic you'd like us to cover the next couple of weeks. And of course, if you're interested at all in the video lesson idea or raising your hand to want to be the virtual lesson, contact me. It's super easy, and I think we'll find out from Cindy today how well that worked for her as well. And that's it for introductions. Ta-da! All right, the next section is the quick information. Mark your calendars, because on July 16th, I'll be doing a question and answer webinar with Parelli. And that's all going to be about applying Parelli principles to trail riding, something I'm very passionate about. So that's July 16th. I believe that's a Thursday. It'll be at 7 o'clock. And that one's through Parelli, so you'll see some advertising on that coming out when we get closer to July. I also wanted to tell you that this is a great curriculum, and all the pieces are right there for you on the Savvy Club. And as we go through our lessons and our experiences, I want to make sure we're tying it to this whole curriculum. You know, often the process doesn't look like the product. I remember when I was first starting this program, I who was the teacher? It was Christy. It was Christy Smith. And she said, Tom, what are your goals? And I said, well, I want to have single tempi flying lead changes. And I want to have hands like Pat Parelli in feel. And I want to be able to ride like Linda Parelli. And she rolled her eyes, laughed, and said, I can help you with the elements of that. And I just thought that was a great answer. And then she said, if you want hands like Pat Parelli, you're going to have to cut your thumb off. So I don't know if you've ever noticed, he's lost the tip of his thumb. So I said, no, I don't think I want to do that. I did think about it. All right, so follow the levels is what I'm saying, because I'm looking at all the boxes, and I know for a fact that we're all at different levels in this. And when I present something, it's kind of like, wow, how do I get to that? And there's a sequence. Pat's laid it out beautifully in that Savvy Club Levels program. There's a sequence. Follow the sequence. It works really brilliantly. But those things that are in the sequence don't always look like the final product. And then all of a sudden, boom, the final product works. So process to product is something we like to say a lot. Follow the levels program. It's really, really good. If you need help with that, I'm your concierge. I can help you. It's brilliant the way it's put together. And likewise, if we're presenting something that's in level 1, 2, and you're a level 4 student, well, if you're really a level 4 student, you're going to look at a level 1 student and go, oh yeah, look at that. I see how that connects into the higher level. And you might see something you hadn't seen before previously. So that's pretty huge too. So keep that in the back of your mind too, that it's a spiral curriculum. My level 1 didn't start getting really great until I passed level 4. And that's just how I felt about it. And anytime I've passed the level, I've thought, it's been about a year before the previous level I thought was really okay. Like I remember when I passed my level 3, I didn't tell anybody for a while because I didn't think my level 2 was really all that good. That's kind of a negative way of thinking, because what happens is it just pulls you along. So that's what I like about that levels program. So hang on with that. It's really great. I plan on expanding private lessons considerably with the package deals that we have, and as we start to open back up again and be able to do things together, that private lesson and semi-private lessons are what I think are going to be the way to go to get us all back and get it going. So that's it for that part. Now I have old business, and I didn't put actually, we'll do that because that's the knowledge. Here we go, knowledge, dun, dun, dun. We need a soundtrack, I'll work on that. So old business, does anybody have any questions from the last 2 sessions or something that came up that you'd like to ask me about? You can, there'll be time afterwards too if you'd rather wait, but is there something burning in your head that you want to ask? Raise your hand and I'll call on you if that's you. You all know how to raise your hand? It's over on the participant box on the bottom. And so, any questions, anybody? Something we did last week, 2 weeks ago, drove you crazy, didn't understand, or something that resonated with you? If you're introvert, you love this awkward silence. If you're an extrovert, you're going nuts right now. Well, good. If something comes up, we'll do it. Okay, so at any time, you're welcome to raise your hand like that. Very good, very good. Hi, everybody. This is so cool because I've got the screen up that has everybody's faces. And it's so cool to see all of you. And I think you have choices on yours. You can make it just whoever's talking, or you can make it everybody. So I see you, Shakya. Thank you. So whatever works for you. I have a friend who's very extroverted and right-brained, and she can't stand seeing all that stimulus on the screen. So I said, oh, just switch that over so you just see who's talking in the moment. And she's much happier. All right. Cool, let's go on. The next is Cindy's lesson on the circle game. And Cindy sent me a really great video. And there were two big giant themes that jumped out. And it's really good what she's doing. Cindy's goal is to submit a level 3 online first, then Liberty, then freestyle. And her horse is nice and healthy now, and that's a thing to celebrate too. This is an online circle game. And what she did was she loaded it to YouTube, And then we looked at it together. She was on FaceTime while we looked at it. And then we went through and worked on a few things. But what I want to do is play a portion of it. I'm just going to shut up and we'll just watch it. And then I want to share with you a couple of the themes that Cindy was working on, because I think they can help all of us. And the thumbs up again, Cindy, for helping us with that. And then we'll ask Cindy some questions, okay? How's that sound? All right. Ooh, oh boy. So don't throw up again. I'm moving the computer. Sun is in a different location now. I hope there's not much glare there. Mike, how does that look? Good. Okay, Mike says it looks good. Okay, Krista, right down here, Cindy and Cheyenne. Pretty fancy backwards on the circle. So as you're going with this, I want to give you, I love that look, that check-in. If you know this program, you know how much that's great. Your horse checks in with you. So I'm going to give you a hint of what Cindy's been working on. Watch. I know her horse Cheyenne is gorgeous, but keep your eye on Cindy. Oop, she moved. There she is. Keep a close eye on Cindy. And watch in particular how light her phase one is. It's really quite excellent. There you go. There's canter. Good, really nice. So what I want to show you is, can you, Mike, can they hear me? Yes. Okay, good. So what I want to show you is there were two big main themes that Cindy and I worked on in our video lesson. And the first one is coming out of neutral, being more obvious about that. So what I challenged Cindy to do was to not look at any of the horse, which is hard to do, but just look at her, and then see if you can see in Cindy's body when she's asking something and when she's not asking something. And so what I challenged Cindy to do was to get more in her body. Like, we can see the tools, we can see the rope, the stick, even the hand, but there's no change in her body position, letting the horse know that she's coming out of neutral. And so that's a big thing that can help that particular horse, Cheyenne, feel very, very good about knowing that she did the right thing, that Cheyenne did the right thing. So I was telling Cindy the story about Dave Ellis, who's one of my mentors, and raise your hand if you know who Dave Ellis is. He was with Pat when Pat figured out what the 7 games were. He's quite good. He's really, really good. If you have a chance to meet him, study with him, ride with him, do it. He's amazing. And I remember talking to him. He said, "Tom, he always says, what do you want to learn in this clinic?" Like every other instructor says that. And I said, I'm watching Pat Parelli, and I'm watching something come from the center of Pat through his hands, through the tools, through the horse, right down to the horse's feet. I can see all of that. And I'm looking at videos of Tom, and I see maybe a hand moving and a stick wiggling and kind of the horse sort of doing it, but not the whole horse. And so, of course, Dave laughed at me. And then he said, good. And so we went out to the clinic, and he told everybody, okay, get rid of your carrot sticks and play the 7 games. Well, of course, now everybody in the class hated Tom for bringing that up, but we couldn't do anything. We just couldn't do anything because we're so used to the tool, it wasn't coming from our body. So that's a big deal when you're working towards level 3, 4, is when you come out of neutral, that it's almost like, hey, something's coming. I bet Tom's going to ask something. And then when Tom's completely neutral, it's like, okay, got it. I've done the right thing. So Cindy's neutral is fantastic. It's fantastic. It just never comes out of neutral from the body language point of view. So that'll make a big difference. And so like what I use is breath. I'll breathe in. So I'll breathe out when I'm neutral. I'll relax. And then I just breathe. Could you see it? Good job, everybody. You're doing great. I'm out of neutral. It's very subtle, and horses really pick up on that. So much so that a lot of times when I am working with a horse that's kind of flighty or unsure of the friendly game, they get the friendly game really fast because they can see my body language relax when they get it, and then pressure, and then relax. It's that big difference, and that's going to be a huge, huge difference. So I'm excited to see Cindy's next videos. The second thing, that Cindy was really working on, did you see that sweet circle game? Nice light stop and back up on the circle. That's pretty cool. But Cindy was having a 0 success with the yo-yo game because the horse is thinking backwards all the time. And so yo back was kind of okay, but yo towards was kind of broken. And then she didn't video a change of direction, but I just bet change of direction was kind of weird too. So what I suggested was probably in that whole circle game thing, we didn't watch the whole thing, but 90% of it was downward transitioning. So I said, switch it, make 90% of it upward transition and end right after an upward transition. So ask for canter, get a few steps, disengage, come in, come on in. And so there's like, oh, I sped up and I get to come in. And that balances that. So we call that draw and drive. Like pretty much almost everything we do with horses is move this thing away from me. And not enough is bring this thing towards me. Now that's a level level 2 plus level 3 kind of thing, because in level 1, we're just trying to stay safe, right? It's about safety. I don't want body parts coming towards me until I know we're in control of all of them. So this trying to develop this balance between draw and drive is the definition of yo-yo. So the yo-yo game is balancing it. It's a real balancer. And so that's very powerful. So then Cindy's homework, if you will, is to apply that those two concepts. Cool. Cindy, is it okay if you unmute and I ask you a few questions, or you want to share anything?
No, I'm unmuted. So I think the biggest challenge with this horse, and you know, some of you have known this horse and me for a while, is she's really sensitive. So I think, Tom, I was thinking about this. I think for me, I was being so careful with my body that I didn't because, you know, I talk with my hands like you do, right? So I'm like, let's go, you know, and that would rev her up. And yes. So I think I got too careful, where I was almost too neutral, because I was so wanting to not over cue her. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and what brings up is there's phase 1, right? So in level 1, phase 1, armpit hair and everything, right? Level 2, phase 1. Level 3, phase 1. Level 4, phase 1. My hand's down here, sorry. Level 4, phase 1. But if you were really watching carefully, you saw this shoulder move every time. So level 1, right? Huge send. Level 2, that shoulder moved. This one. Level 3, there. Level 4.
Yep.
I mean, yes, it looked like that, but it was in my body. Mm-hmm. So that's gonna mean more to her, and be less, actually, hopefully feeling less shouty. Yeah. Because wouldn't it be cool if you could just send your horse like that, just with the lightest little suggestion? And you reminded me, and I forgot to say it when we had our lesson, that early on somebody told me this and I wasn't ready to hear it. They said there's 4 phases, right? Look, lift, swing, touch. But within phase 1, there's 4 phase 1s. Oh, okay. And if you get really good, there's even more. So it's like, I'm suggesting, I mean, I haven't lifted a rope or a string or anything. And if we can get our horse that dialed in to paying attention to that body language, then that really means something. Raise your hand if you've ever met a horse that's scared of the stick. I have. You just pick up the whip or the stick and they're like, ah! They think it's always pressure. Well, that's part of it. Because if they are just reading the tool instead of the person, that's teaching an assumption. So for a long time, my horses were only reading the stick. They weren't reading the tom. And that's not communication. That's kind of operating not quite on the same level as you need to be when you're moving to the more advanced refinement stages. So that helped. I remember when I finally got that, and it really changed me. And so I'm really interested to see how Cheyenne does with that idea of just come out of neutral and still ask as late as you have been, but come out of neutral. And then what I feel is going to happen is Cheyenne will relax more when Cheyenne knows that she did the right thing and you really went to neutral then. So there's like
about that in the lesson, right, where you talked about she really doesn't know what the heck is going on, because she doesn't see me come out of neutral. So I think what you said to me was she's always kind of going, what's going on? You know, and that made perfect sense. If I don't have a change in my body, how's she going to know when she's doing the right thing and when she's not?
Yep. So that'll be
really powerful.
That'll be really great to explore that. And then also she will start to understand her responsibility more. And you know, she looks like she's got it. I mean, she understands maintain gait. She's a little under impulse like we talked about, but I think that's easily fixed with just rebalancing the amount of time that you're doing upwards and downwards transitions. I think she really does understand her job, in terms of maintain gait. I think she's just thinking backwards all the time because she said, I bet Cindy's going to ask me to back up. So, and then as you advance, I told Cindy, I see no reason that horse can't take you through level 4. And that means flying lead changes at some point, and you're going to have her cantering to you to get the flying lead change. So she's going to have to rebalance that impulsion idea. As frightening as that sounds to have a horse canter right to you, but when it's balanced and under control, it's quite cool. Cindy, how was the process of doing this? Did you find it was hard to video or put it together, or what was easy about it? What was hard about it?
Well, I think for me, it was we ended up in a place I didn't think we were going to go, because I actually was working on wanting help with yo-yo and figure 8, right? And I sent you the circle game because you and I talked about transitions last year. So I was like, see, Tom, I'm working on them. So the video process wasn't, it was easy for me. I just talking somebody into coming down and doing the videoing was the biggest part of it. But I already had a sense of what I felt I really needed to fix. So, and uploading and stuff, I think it worked really well with the lesson, because you and I went back and forth and you told me where on the video to go look, right? And so we were looking at the same thing as we were talking on FaceTime. So the process, I think, worked really, really well.
Good. I'm excited to see how that works, and do follow up and shoot us another quick video. And see how that's going. And I'd love to see, after you get that more balanced, I'd love to see the yo-yo and the change of direction. And that's, you guys know a figure 8 is just a change of direction, right? It's a tricky way to do a change of direction. It's just a slightly different shape. Good, Cindy. Well done. Let's give Cindy a big thumbs up. That was fantastic. Yay. Good job. Thank you, Cindy. Very good. Let me double check my notes. I think that's all that I had for that one. How about you guys? Do you have any questions about what that was? Or maybe did you see something that you'd like to tell Cindy she did a really good job with, a compliment? Or do you have a question for me? Or maybe there's an idea you have. I see Pam Tootie's got her hand up. Go ahead, Pam. Tootie, you have to unmute yourself first. I'll try to get over to you.
I got it.
There you are. Hi.
Hi. Yes, I thought you did a great job. I was very impressed with circling and then the horse backing up. And that's where my question is. At what point or how do you get the horse to get to that point to back up? Or what's the process?
Oh, yeah. Good question. I usually do it on the rail first. And on a round pen works really nice too, on a backward circle. And I also cautioned Cindy not to do too much of that, because as I said, we need to get the forward impulsion and the turn towards you coming quicker, and that, we can overdo that. So out on a railing works really nice. It helps the horse become straight. You can hold your carrot stick, like here's the rail, here's the horse, here's you. You can put your carrot stick up on the horse's withers, do zone 3 driving, and say, okay, we're going to back up now. Put it in your body first. If they don't back up, bring the stick in front. That's
So
a great
in your body, what do you mean by your body? Like if I'm standing like at her withers, do I start to back up, or do I just, what do I do?
Yeah, just lean a little bit. So I love graphics, right? You guys know I'm a visual person, right? So there I am, right? I'm walking with my horse, and I don't just say back up and start whacking or anything. I lean back a little with my body, and if the horse hasn't moved, I lift something, and then I take a step back and say, hey, you're supposed to be with me. So pretty soon, my phase 1 is just leaning backwards. And then when I want to walk forward, I just lean forward. And if the horse isn't moving by then the stick comes up and tickles him on the behind there and say, hey, come on, you're supposed to be going forward.
And so when I'm in the center, is she supposed to do that? I mean, that's what you do too?
If you're in the center?
I mean, if I'm in the center of the round pen, then I'm doing the same, like.
Yeah, so now the language in the round pen is same as a downward transition. So you put your belly button energy in front of the horse, And I brought a horse today. So you put your belly button energy, so he's out on the circle, this guy, and you put your belly button energy way out here. In other words, you're facing a good horse length in front of the horse. And then if they don't slow down, you lift. If they still don't slow down, you shake the stick. If you still don't slow down, you wiggle the rope. Well, slowing down is the same as backing up. So you could continue that. Or when they slow down to the walk, you can say, good. Then you can ask them to slow down to the halt. Good. Then you can ask them to slow down to the backup. Because it's the same. It's exactly the same.
All right, great, thank you.
A great video. Maybe you guys know where it is. It's Magic, Patent Magic, and a round pen. They're doing some high-level stuff. He's got 2 sticks going on, and they're doing changes everywhere, and it's good. And he puts that horse in a backwards. It's almost a trot. This horse is backing up in the round pen backwards, and Pat's just sitting there.
Only in my dreams.
Wow. Oh. That horse really knew its responsibilities. Maintain gait, maintain direction. Why not back up in a circle? Did like 2 or 3 laps. It was great. Yeah, very cool. Any other questions? Is it good? I didn't make the cricket sound.
I have a question.
Yes, Lisa. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, thanks for doing this.
You're welcome.
First of all, she did an excellent job. And I wondered how she got her horse so calm at all 3 gates.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to answer that one, Cindy? Because that horse wasn't always calm at 3 gates.
No, thank you. She's an LBI, but she can go to any of the 4 quadrants at a given point in time. So I've done a lot of just patiently asking her to slow down. And to Tom's point, I've gone too far in that direction, so now I need to go back the other way. But it took us a long time of circle game and just walking with her to let her know that what I really wanted was for her to be calm. And so we started with the walk and got at the walk, then we went to the trot and walked trot and got her calm. The calm at the canter is a fairly new development, and I've had this, let's see, we've been working with her, I think I've been working with her almost 6 years, because she gets very emotional. When she goes up in a gate, the drama queen comes out, and so getting it at the canter has been a huge accomplishment. It's just taken a lot of patience and just reassuring her that she's safe, and that what I want is, that's a lovely slow trot. I would actually ride that canter. A year ago, I wouldn't have said that. So it just takes time, I think. Tom, you've seen her for a while. What would you say?
Speed equals emotion. So for a lot of horses, as you ramp the speed up, the emotions come up. In fact, and for any horse to be athletic, they have to access their right brain side. And that helped me a lot, even with left brain horses. They really do have to access that part of their brain that is the fleeing part to be athletic. And so one of the one of the techniques to use with a horse that is getting emotional with speed is transitions. Lots and lots and lots of transitions. So you almost approach and retreat the problem. So it's like, let's go fast. Now let's go slow. Let's go fast again. Now let's go slow. Let's go fast again. Now let's go slow. Now let's walk. Now let's go fast again. Now let's go slow. So literally every few seconds, transitions. Pretty soon that horse is like, I can go ahead and power up and know that I'm not going to have to be flying off the handle with it. This assumes no adrenaline. If the horse is on adrenaline, then you need to move their feet. You need to deal with their emotions and get them back centered. That's different.
Tom, can I ask another question?
Absolutely.
So with Banjo, you know him, and he almost seems like can I desensitize him to the carrot stick? And do you think that is an important part of it? Or is it just my energy, or no, you haven't?
Yeah, it's really, we talked about like a horse that is getting emotional, and sometimes they're getting emotional because there's no release of pressure. So
Okay.
if the horse feels there's no release of pressure, then they're gonna fight or flight or escape or shut down. And so it's really, really, really important what you said is that they have to understand that the carrot stick is 50% not pressure and 50% pressure. So they know when it's pressure and when it's not. And that goes right to Cindy's lesson of making sure they're really reading the human's intention, not the stick. Because I can take my stick and shake it at a horse and be relaxed in my body, and it should be the friendly game. And I can change my body to mean pressure with the same shake of the stick.
Mm-hmm.
And that calms the horse quite a lot when they can understand that. So you said desensitize, but I would go a step farther and teach them that it's not pressure. So who's heard rhythm, relaxation, retreat? That's how you teach a horse that something is not pressure. Rhythm, relaxation, retreat. And most importantly, retreat. And retreat, and probably retreat. Don't stop, but retreat until they know it.
Yeah, so it matters when you, like you said, upward and downward transitions. It matters when you bring them on a downward transition, doesn't it? Should you wait until they're relaxed?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay, so you really have to use some finesse to read your horse.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. And
And
then
be conscious of your body language.
right, and if they're confused about pressure and not pressure, you can't teach them anything. So don't try. Go back to friendly game, having them understand that. And like I said, if they're on adrenaline, then you need to move them around and deal with the adrenaline. I don't remember which of my teachers said it. I'm sure it was Pat Parelli. He said, you have to, it's love, language, and leadership. The love part of it is that the horse feels safe.
Okay.
And so if they think it's all pressure and they're just tolerating that, there's no real language there, and there's no real sense of leadership. So you find out you can't get very far. So that's huge. So that may be a key to you unlocking your issue, is making sure that regardless of trot or walk, that your horse can understand that carrot stick can be friendly.
Okay. And would it be a dumb thing? Because this is what I did last summer with a canter. I'll tell you, I already did it. And it seemed to help. I just took his lead line off and asked him to canter and just let him canter until he relaxed. And it took like 12 minutes. And then now he relaxes at a canter. Should I just do the same thing with a trot?
Sure. A lot of times I will wait for a horse to have rhythm and relaxation and connection, and just wait for that. Absolutely.
Okay.
And another reason that works well is because that's how a horse processes adrenaline. So think of a horse that's scared and they're running from fear. That movement helps them process that adrenaline, which then gets them back into we'll call it a learning frame of mind, but it gets them back to a state where they can understand what's happening. So moving of feet is very, very important. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Good. Great question. I see Anna Quick has a question back there. Go ahead, Anna.
Actually, it's me. So
Oh, hi, Steven.
So how can you tell when a horse is relaxed or not?
That's an excellent question. How can you tell when a horse is relaxed or not? A lot of it is just learning how to read a horse. So one of the big things is to look at their breathing, look at their muscles, look at their headset. I like to look at I've got a horse that's hard to read. He's very introverted, but he gets this little dimple right there in his muzzle. And it gets really tight. It's almost like it almost looks like that. And you'll miss it. You'll totally miss it unless you know to look for it. It's only on one side. But that's my sign that he is not relaxed. You can look at ears, breathing, like I said. Basically, a good answer is calm, connected, responsive. And if you go to the Parelli Savvy Club under touchstones, I think it's touchstone 4. It's CCR, calm, connected, responsive. And there's a really great article in there from Linda about what to be looking for and how to assess what a calm horse looks like. But those are the quick hit answers there.
Okay, yeah, I'll take a look at that.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's very good, by the way.
Thank you.
Highly recommend that. April has a question. I think she has her hand up. April, you there? Your mic's on now. Hi, April.
Hi there. I was just wondering, what was Cindy's cue to get her horse to back up in the circle game?
Oh, yeah.
I
Good,
couldn't-
because it was subtle. It was subtle. It was hard to see. And a lot of times because of the camera angle, you really couldn't see it. So all she was doing was putting her body language, like, you know, there's a direction to our bodies, and it tends to go out like this because our eyes are set here and our belly button is forward like that and our hips and shoulders square off. So she was squaring her whole body about a horse length in front of the horse when the horse was going forward on the circle. So she was turning with the horse, staying in front of. And then if the horse didn't downward transition or back up, then she lifted something, which was her stick. And then she swung it up and down. And then if the horse still didn't do it, there's only one time she needed to do it. She just wiggled the rope a little bit. And that would be the equivalent of touching the horse. So it was the driving game.
So, but what about, like, you know, there's the passing it behind your back, then your body's not facing in front of the horse. You're letting the horse go on behind you in continuation.
Yeah,
Did
and she was absolutely, like, when she wasn't asking anything, she was just staying neutral and passing the equipment around her. That's when she wasn't asking anything. And
Okay,
she did
so
something fancy dancy too. She turned, when she came out of neutral, she turned in the opposite direction of the horse when she was asking it to back up. And when she wanted the horse to go faster, she came out of neutral and turned in the direction of the horse.
Okay.
So that's pretty
So
subtle.
as you're building up to just to get them back up, you're going to use the wait, what was the first thing that you would say to downward transition?
It was just look in front. So just face and look in front. You know, a good, we can't, I'll ask Cindy if it's okay to put her video up so you can take a look at it. But there's this guy that does videos really good. His name's Parelli. So I would recommend you look up level 2 circle game, and you'll see those upward and downward transitions. And then what Cindy's doing though is level 3, almost level 4 with her transitions. So that's why it's hard to see. So huge compliment to Cindy that was hard to see, but she had really good technique in there. I was impressed with that. Does that answer that, April?
Okay. Your body's facing in front of the horse, to help bring them back down.
Yep, exactly right. That's a downward transition on the circle. Yeah.
Okay. And then after that, you're moving your body toward the horse. If they're slowing down, you're moving it down. You move your body toward the horse rather than in front. You're turning toward them.
To get them to go faster, then you just turn with them. You don't go towards them. You turn with them, and then point, then lift, touch behind you, closer and closer. It's hard for me to show it to you. Like, I'd love to show it to you with a horse right now, but it would be much better to see it on that video.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I would, picture's worth 1,000 words.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. All right, Cindy, did you have something else you wanted to add? I noticed your hand was still up, or did I forget to lower your hand?
No, to her question, one of the things that you helped me learn really well, and I understand from doing energy work, is the power you have in your belly button, and to learn to be aware of where your belly button is. Because you have a lot of energy that comes out of your core, and the horse picks up on that. So Tom really helped me understand that, but I knew that from energy work, but he helped me understand that the horse really was picking up on that quite a bit.
Yeah, and that all comes from Pat Parelli. I mean, I'm just teaching his program, so thanks for giving me credit, but we got to give credit where credit's due. I mean, it's really brilliant. It's simple stuff, but it's not always easy to do, especially when it comes to controlling your own body language in a way that your horse understands it. So that you can quote me on that one from someone who's trying to decipher all this and do it. Good. Thank you, Cindy. So I have another special thing here, and I've noticed a lot of questions I've gotten recently about the Catch Me game. And so I wanted to cover the philosophy and psychology of it, and then the technique of it. And then we caught Krista on an outstanding Catch Me game just the other day out in a big field, giant field. So that was really great. And the reason it came up with Krista is she's got a new horse, and she's new to horses, and she's got a new horse, and she didn't know how to go out to the field and get her horse. There's like 5 other horses out there, and some of them kick up dust a little bit once in a while. So in some ways it was a bad setup, because it would be nicer to teach a horse the Catch Me game after they've learned all 7 games, and do it in a small area like a round pen, and really prepare the horse for it. But sometimes you got to apply it when you have to apply it. So I want to go through all that and show you what a horse really needs to know to play the Catch Me game. So often people go out and catch their horse any old way they can. I've seen people drive their horses on into the stall and slam the door. That's the only way they can get them. I know several people, and it's just as common. I know several people that they just can't catch their horse. Horse runs away all the time. The only times they can get to him is at feed time. So if there's ever an emergency, or heaven forbid that horse gets out, that's a bad deal, obviously, direct line thinking. But then indirect line thinking, I want my horse to want to be with me. I mean, that's the whole point of this whole journey of being a great horseman is, what's going on that horse doesn't really want to be with me. So I always look at that and go, well, that's kind of a deal breaker. If my horse would really rather leave, I need to look at this better. Something's going on. So the very first thing to do with the Catch Me game is to understand the psychology of why would a horse want to be with you if we're always pressuring them and we're always driving them away, and anytime we're in the picture, it's always stressful. So undemanding time is the number one thing to help, and that's as simple, and especially we've got a lot of undemanding time right now, don't we? That's as simple as going out and grabbing a magazine and sitting on a bucket and just hang with your horse. Like I'll stick some treats in my pocket sometimes, and sometimes I won't. And I'll just hang out there and see if anybody's interested in coming over and saying hello. And you repeat that a few times, pretty much your horse starts looking at you like another horse. Like, oh, instead of always, oh, here comes Tom again, we're gonna have to go canter Zerkles, or whatever is in my mind, right? So undemanding time is huge. And also a little bit of reverse psychology goes a long way. So sometimes, I remember when I was working on my level 4 and I was very stressed out about that. I had just become an instructor, and I was told if you don't pass your 4, you can't be an instructor. I was like, ugh. So I was really a little pressured. And I noticed my horse was not wanting to be with me, especially when I come hiking the saddle out. So I'd hike the saddle out and set it down and sit there and read a book. And a couple times I'd go ahead and put the saddle on the horse and say, yeah, looks pretty good. Take the saddle off, give him some treats, call that the session. And he'd look at me like, what's that? That was kind of interesting, but it totally fixed it. So that undemanding idea is super important to pepper in there. And the other thing that is really important is to have that relationship and language and communication and trust and rapport. That's super important. So that's the big technique of it, but I did want to share one story, and I'm sorry some of you know the story, but when I first got Spark, my super horse, it took me 3 days to win the Catch Me game. 3 days. And here's how I did it. I took some really good advice. This is going to sound cruel, but it is not. I took all the water out of his field. He had plenty of grass. I removed all the water source. I told everybody I was at a boarding facility. I told everybody what I was doing and that not to worry, but I was there at 8 in the morning with a bucket of water, holding it right there by the gate. And he ran up to me and he looked at me and went, meh, took off running away. I'm like, okay, see you in 4 hours. So at my lunch break, because I worked only a couple miles down the road, lunch break, here comes Tom again with a nice cold bucket of water. And he kind of smelled the water that time and took off again. 3 days, 3 days. So finally it was probably the second day, he came over and just drank the whole bucket. And he was getting, there was plenty of lush grass there, so he was getting plenty of moisture. He would drink if he needed to. But on day 2, he drank a whole bunch of water. He gave me this look, and then he left. And after that, day 3, he was like, I swear, the sound of my tires down the lane, he was at the gate. Whoa, where's that guy with the water? And so the idea of that is that you're mimicking a natural process that horses do. There's a leader of the herd that decides when the herd's going to go drink. And then I become his icon of life. He's looking at me going, Tom, giver of life, I would like to be with you. And that was the beginning of a beautiful, beautiful relationship. So much so that when we go out camping with our horses, we try to tie them or camp near a water source like a creek, and we'll walk them to the water. We'll get up in the morning, walk them. At night before we go to bed, at dinner, we're walking them down to the water. Yes, it's a lot more work, but it's worth it. It's worth it to solidify that kind of relationship with the horse. It's ultimate natural thing. Now, you got to be careful. If a horse has any kind of medical condition or things like that, you just want to, don't be stupid. You want to do the right thing for your horse. And if you've been traveling like a long way and they're dehydrated, don't withhold water. Those are important things. But that's kind of the psychology thing of it. Here's the technique of it. So I got my handy horse here, and I am going to offer you this. And Mike, you might need to watch the comment box. I'm going to offer you anybody here, a free video coaching session. If you can tell me the alternate name of the Hide Your Hiney game. First person in the comments that gets the alternate name of the Hide Your Hiney game wins. So here's what the Hide Your Hiney game is. Here's your horse's hiney. And when you put pressure here on the driving game, look, lift, swing, touch, the horse turns and faces you. You can't see the hiney anymore. That's literally the Hide Your Hiney game. So just like that. So that, now you can see the horse's 2 eyes, okay? Before, you could only see 1 eye. So check this out on my little handy horse here. Can you see his 1 eye? That's 1 eye. Hide Your Hiney is 2 eyes. And this is no eyes. Usually, kick, go. So no eyes. Got it? 1 eye, 2 eyes, no eyes. So here's how the catch me game works. And again, it works better in a round pen in a smaller area, and it does work better if your horse already knows hindquarter disengage. So if you see 1 eye, you put light pressure directed at that horse's hindquarter. And your pressure is your eyes, your belly button, your hips, all facing that hindquarter. And you put a little rhythm somewhere. You could put it in your hand or on a rope, and you put pressure on that hindquarter, and you keep the pressure. If the horse races off, you just keep the same pressure. Just keep following that hindquarter until the horse turns and you see 2 eyes. The moment you see 2 eyes, you take all the pressure off by walking away. So what the horse learns is whenever I'm not facing Tom, there's pressure. And the moment I face Tom, he took all the pressure away by walking away. And it mimics a natural thing that horses are born followers. They really are. They're looking for leaders. And when they feel that, it really works well. What if you see no eyes? Then you put a lot of pressure. I might even toss my rope over so that my body's not close to possibly getting kicked. Toss the rope or do a lot of pressure. Spin the rope until you see 1 eye. Then light pressure. Then no pressure. Okay? We'll have a chance to see this in motion in just a second. So a lot of times what will happen though is the horse will turn and face you, and then they don't do anything else. They're not walking towards you. So there's a little bit of game you can play with half circles. And it's hard to see on this, but I've got a way to show you in just a second, where you walk a half circle from the shoulder of the horse around to the front to the other shoulder, and turn the other way. Turn, it kind of makes the horse want to follow you. So you're going to see that in action with Krista in just a second, because it worked really well with her. And that's the catch me game in a nutshell. So I want to show you some graphics, because again, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And I got really fancy with this. You're going to laugh. It's not super fancy at all. So let's go in back. Well, let's go with what's likely to happen first. What's likely to happen first is you'll see one eye. This is you over here. That would be you. And you see one eye, and you're going to put light pressure there with rhythm and walk toward it. And hopefully the horse will turn and face you. And that's where you see two eyes. And you walk away. If the horse follows you and tries to catch you, that's awesome. If the horse just stands there looking at you, then you do a half circle to their shoulder. And here's where it's critical. Turn to the outside. And another half circle to this shoulder. Turn to the outside. And that has a drawing effect. You just make those half circles smaller and smaller until you can reach out and do the horseman's handshake. If you don't know what that is, I'll tell you in a sec. Couple things are likely to happen. 3 things. The horse stands there politely, smells you. You can do your haltering procedure. The horse walks with you. Like you turn here and walk that half circle. The horse follows you. Awesome. He's catching you. That's the whole point of the game. The third thing that might happen is the horse leaves, takes off. And then you just go game on again with the game of one eye, 2 eyes, or no eyes. And if you have no eyes, it looks like that. Oops. Looks like that, and you put a lot of pressure there. Spinning something, tossing a rope, whatever. More pressure there. Just don't put your soft human body close. Make sure you're at least 6 feet away before pressuring a hindquarter like that, especially if it's out at liberty. Okay, so that's that. I want to show you this awesome video here of Krista on her catch me game. All right, so make sure your belly button is pointed towards, do you see any eyes? No, now you see one eye. No eyes, one eye. Switch your tools. All right, so make sure your belly button is pointed. We have technical challenge here, hold on. No, now you see one eye. There, you still have two eyes. What's that? Switch your tools. Okay, I'm gonna start this again because I got completely distracted by that. Walk away. Brilliant. All right, there we go. All right, so make sure your belly button is pointed towards, do you see any eyes? No, now you see one eye. No eyes, one eye. Switch your tools. I don't know if you could see it, but could you see Krista doing a little bit of rhythm as she walked towards that horse's hindquarter? And then unfortunately, right there, sticks kind of turned and we saw no eyes for a second. So Krista should have done more pressure. So make sure your belly button is pointed towards, do you see any eyes? No, now you see one eye. No eyes, one eye. Switch your tools. Walk away. See the 2 eyes? Brilliant. So look back there. Do you still have 2 eyes? Sure do. So you can start your half circles now. If he moves his feet and you lose your 2 eyes, you can start the game again. And you can, with him, because he knows the game, you can start making your half circles smaller. But that's always a judgment call. And remember, turn to the outside or turn away from the horse. Watch here. Here's where it happens, I think. Looking at you, so you turn to the right. See the draw? Did you see the draw effect you had there? So walk away. Yeah. Okay, good. Now walk away because he's leaving with you. Walk away. Beautiful. He stopped again, so half circles. Nice. Are you close enough for the handshake? You're doing good. Now let's pretend he's like Stella and go ahead and put the rope around his withers. At this point, your horse likes to walk away. There you go, be gentle. Very good. Scratch him on the withers a little bit. I've met horses that want to take off at this point, and I just let them. Said, fine, go. You want to go, go. That was well done. All right, good job. And I love that we caught that on video because this game works from far, far distances as well. And I always say that, but I think people don't believe that it can work from a whole field away. So that's pretty cool. But again, we want to set our horses up for success in teaching that. So if you want to see Pat do that, it's level 2 Liberty. And it's one of the very first things. And it's best done, like I said, in a round pen. So, hey, Krista, can you unmute yourself and say hi to everybody?
Hi.
So, Krista, I was watching Krista yesterday out in the field, and there's like 5 other horses out in the field. So, Krista, can you talk about how that works when there's other horses around?
Yeah, well, I've only been around horses for 11 months. So when I get out in the field with 5 other horses, I feel a lot of fear. And so yesterday, I wanted to get to know the other horses too, so that I would feel better. And so I was trying to do the circle game with a couple of the horses. And I had watched some videos earlier in the morning, so I had very high expectations. But I went out there and I gave it a shot, and I connected with 2 of the other horses, and mine went into the stall. And eventually she came out.
Good. Yeah, so one of the savvy things to do with that is if there are multiple horses, whatever horse comes to you, go ahead and say, hey, you caught me, and put a rope around their neck and take them over to another field and put them in there and close the gate. And then start the game again with your horse. And if another horse connects to you, gets in the way and connects to you, hey, I caught another one, look. Take that one, put it in the field next to you. And the other strategy that works pretty well once the horse really knows it is to ignore the other horse. So put your energy straight through the other horse. And I was telling Krista that well, it was actually the same horse that took me 3 days. Did I mention it took me 3 days? He would position himself behind other horses to not play this game, because he thought, well, he can't pressure me when there's another horse in the way. So I just pretended like that other horse wasn't there. They eventually got out of the way. So yeah, good job, Krista. Do you have any, does anybody have any questions about the Catch Me game? Anything you want to add to it? Carla's got a hand up. Go ahead, Carla. I'm going to unmute you, Carla. Is that okay?
I'm looking at there. It didn't like my push on the button. Okay, so we are in a pasture with 12 other horses, and it's mostly a very slick paddock. I mean, I spend getting out there, for me, part of my focus is to not slide and land on my you-know-what. So I'm literally working on my own self as I'm heading out to get we have a couple things that I have to respect, and that is that we aren't allowed to do anything with other people's horses.
Right.
So everybody, I would say 6, sometimes 7 horses come tearing up to the fence before I'm out of the truck. And they're like, oh my gosh, Carla's here with all of her stuff. And so I'm setting everything up to go play. And I just have this like wonderful group, and Dot knows that I'm there because she's looked. And then she's like, okay, fine. I'll just keep looking for the green stuff until you really are sure you want me. And so, and I have a couple that always want to play, you know, pick me, pick me. So I have started doing that, what you said, where I go ahead and I do the horseman's handshake with whoever comes and joins me. But when I've got 5 or 6 at once, I'm trying to keep my balance, then I tend to do the long body logic, where I put my stick and string out behind me and I begin the ignoring game. I have a couple that it doesn't matter, they follow anyway. But Dot is she always waits until she's sure that I have escaped all the others before she'll give me one eye. Then we can play the semicircle game. And it's almost like she wants to play that game. She doesn't want to just say, oh, pick me, like the others do. So I don't know if I just don't know how to be more interesting than those little teeny bits of green that are out there, because there's not much yet where they are. But, or if it's just that we just need to, because once she chooses me, she's all about, oh yeah, scratch me. Oh yeah, put the rope over me. And she wants, you know, once she's decided she wants to play. And I spend a lot of time before I put a rope over her neck. I spend a lot of time rubbing and scratching and just standing around and letting her eat and not saying, oh my gosh, we've only got 2 hours and we just spent the first 20 minutes trying to connect. You know, because in our barn, on the days we have 2 hours from the minute you show up until the minute you leave, and that's it. So I have to tamp down my right brain extrovert straight line. Oh my gosh, we got to get it done, and still try to feel that I've accomplished more than the catch me game. Once we're out of there, she's with me. But
I'm sorry to interrupt you. There's a lot going on there. Let me unpack a couple of them and give you some tips. One is stay safe. If the footing's not good, do whatever you need to do. In that setting, what I would do, especially if the footing's not good, is I would just go connect with my horse. I'd scratch her on the withers. I wouldn't play the game of 2 eyes if the footing's bad, because there's a chance that it's gonna get fast. I would just connect with her, rub her, go ahead and put the halter on. But here's what I would do next that would really might help quite a lot. And that is, once the halter's on, hang with her there. And then as those other horses come over and pester you and want your attention and all that, honor them and then very gently say, that'll do, go away. You can use a little porcupine. Don't, especially if the footing's bad, don't get too aggressive, but just push them off and protect your herd of 2. And that will mean more to your horse than anything. I suspect what's going on is she's very concerned about the dynamics of that herd swimming around her. It's almost like there's all this energy in a herd. I love watching horses out in the herd, out in the pastures, play with each other and move around. It's like one horse way over here moves and it affects these other 3 over here. They're not even nearby. And so she's got to manage all of that on top of playing the catch me game. That's a big ask. So especially in your setting where you have a lot of other horses around that you're not supposed to be messing with, that's what I would do. I would, especially with bad footing, I would just halter. You know, if she's standing there for you, awesome. And then you can play the game of 2 eyes then in the round pen, or when there's a better setting that it's a safe setup.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. That was an excellent question, because you know, everybody's got a different setting, a different thing that's going on. Excellent. Melissa has her hand up. Go ahead, Melissa. You have to unmute first.
I did.
Sure, there you are. Hi.
So in the catch me game there, and you're doing the half circles, and they square up and face towards you, but you have to turn away and turn your back to the horse to remove the pressure. As they walk into you or walk with you, is that technically a draw?
Exactly. Yes, it's a draw.
That is a draw. Because my horse, we're working at Liberty in the round pen, he will square up, he will face up, and he will only walk forward or into the center if I turn my back to him. So I've learned to draw by asking him to come forward, asking horses to come forward and not turning my back to him, but he will only when I completely release that pressure.
I have my horse Peaches was like that. Anytime you faced her, she thought it was pressure, no matter what. And I've spent years doing this, facing her, walking backwards myself, playing friendly games, tossing sticks, tossing things. And even now, I still think she thinks it's pressure. And so I have that same kind of thing. And I've like, her favorite release of pressure is for me not to stand in front of her. And it's just who she is. So I just respect that. I try to respect her with that. But lots of you drawing backwards friendly games. your quadriceps are going to get really strong with all that
Yeah,
back.
he'll come in, he'll square up at the canter, at the trot, and then he's stuck. And then as soon as I turn my back to him, he will come in. But that's what it takes.
Yep.
So. Okay.
Good. And review, I keep trying to point everybody to Savvy Club. Review yo-yo game and the draw on yo-yo game, because there's a couple of pitfalls there that can help. Where
He'll leave and come in and leave and come in, but he stops at some point until I turn my back.
yeah, that'd be a good one for me to see sometime.
Yeah.
I smell a video lesson.
Oh.
Did anybody get the answer right? I'm scrolling here. So far, I didn't see anybody with it. Driving game, game of two eyes, nope. Yo-yo, nope. Face me game, nope. Game of two eyes, nope, nope. Disengagement, nope, nope. These are all correct. They're just not what I was looking for. The answer I was looking for, everybody, was the connection game. Oh, so if the horse turns and faces you, it's connection. So hide your hiney is AKA the connection game. Little trivia. Super. If anybody asked any questions in the comments and I didn't get to them, I'm trying to scroll really fast, text them over to me, or I'll try to answer you directly if I have your contact information. Excellent, excellent. That was great. Have a inspirational thing, if we can go a couple extra minutes. Everybody remember Mike? Hi, Mike. He's down there. It's funny. It's like the Brady Bunch thing with all the boxes I see is really wild. Mike was working on his figure eight on the very first session we did a couple weeks ago. And I happened to be walking by the round pen and he was working on the figure eight. So I recorded just his figure eight. And I asked him if it was okay to share it because I thought it was pretty spectacular and going really, really well. So, but then again, I may be biased. Let's see if we can find Mike's figure eight. That's Krista. Mike figure eight. This is only 27 seconds long. Yeah, well done, Mike. Very impressive. So he's rounding the barrels much better, much better. His ears are still back a bit, but that improves once he really understands what he's doing and doesn't feel like it's too much. So that was really nice. He's Mike's filmed his level 3 Liberty, but he wasn't satisfied with his figure eight. So I think now that looked very level 3 plus to me. So I think he's planning on redoing the video and sending it in shortly. So good for you, Mike. Excellent. Well, we're just about out of time. Does anybody have any other questions or things they want to say? I see Team Wolf has their hand up. I heard a rumor somebody else might want to ask me a question. So go ahead, Team Wolf. How you doing over there, guys? You have a question for me?
Oh, unmute, thank you. The only question I have is, when you are doing the catch me game, is it a good thing to use an audible cue as well, so that when you're out there and you're trying to catch, they come to you with an audible cue as opposed to going through the whole process?
A great question. I'm a big fan of audible cues, as long as you can be really consistent. And recently I've been trying to do any come to me commands with a kiss, like that, and any upward transitions or go fasters with a cluck, like those kind of noises, so that I'm more consistent with that. As long as it's attached to body language, because that's truly the language of the horse, I think horses can figure that out. Yeah, absolutely. I know somebody who's actually on this webinar right now, Marianne Taylor, and she has her horse, she just gives a whistle, right, Marianne? And that horse comes from the other pasture, galloping on up. And it's not just at dinner time either. It's like, hey, can we play? So it's fantastic. Yeah. So yes, the answer is yes, absolutely. As long as it's not a make. A lot of times with Liberty, we can make our horse come. Like, I'm going to rope you and make you do this. And then maybe at the beginning, it has to be that. But very quickly, we want to have our horse want to be with us and want to draw to us. So it starts with yo-yo game. It starts with hide your hiney and moves into that catch me game really nicely. Krista is very good at noticing things. And she said the other day, one of the horses started walking towards, she did the catch me game with her horse, Stella, and started walking towards the barn. And she was three fields over. Every horse got in line behind Stella in a straight line. And they all came to the barn together. And she's like, what was that all about? I think she was a little unnerved maybe. But it's that same thing. As soon as you turn and walk away, the horses want to, it's called drafting. They want to draft in behind that. It's almost like a vacuum and they want to lead into it. It's very, very natural. What's this thing we're studying called again? Natural horsemanship?
Horsemanship. Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
Do you remember that video on Facebook of Pat at Road to the Horse choosing a horse, and that happened? That whole herd of wild 2-year-olds followed Pat.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was neat.
Not a surprise. Not a surprise at all. Cindy, did you want to mention something?
Well, I had a question. Again, it's with the catch me game because maybe I haven't been doing it correctly. I always turn around and go, so when I get 2 eyes, I go backwards. So I'm doing the draw walking backwards.
You can do that.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Which she seems to like. Because my question actually was, if I wanted to try it the other way, where I turn my back and start walking away, at what point do you stop at some point and allow them to catch you so that you can get the halter on?
Absolutely. What I'll do is when they're walking behind me, I'll slow my feet down and allow them to catch me. And then I'll hold my hand out. So I'll set it up so that they can catch me. And the other thing to remember too is if you're doing this in a round pen and the horse keeps leaving you, put them back on line and practice your hide your hiney. In fact, we don't have time for it, but that's what we had Krista do with her horses. Her horse doesn't have quite a good drive game on zone 4 just yet, which is why the catch me game's a little sketchy. So put the horse on line, drive zone 4, and as soon as the hiney goes away, walk away with your horse on line. And get that pattern built in of hide your hiney, follow me.
Okay.
So you can build that.
The comment I wanted to make about this is when I first got Cheyenne, her behavior in the stall was when you went to her stall, her butt turned to you. She didn't like people very much. And so I used the yield hindquarter, looking at the hindquarters to teach her to turn. And then I reinforced it with, well, if you come and make nice face at me, and you get a treat because she's an
She's
LBO.
playing she's playing the catch me game right there in the stall.
So it's a safety thing. If you have a horse that feels unsafe and turns their butt, that's a great way to start getting it safer to get in the stall. That's what we had to do with her.
Yep. And I think it was Team Wolf we were doing that with a couple weeks ago with their mare. I'm a big fan of not getting in a stall with a horse. Unless there's a real need. So I'll play the catch me game at the doorway and just kind of, hey, do you mind hiding your hiney? What do you think of that? Can you come meet me here? It all starts right there. It all starts right there. So that's good. Thanks for saying that, Cindy. I wouldn't let anybody in Spark's stall after I won 3 days. Did I mention 3 days? After we got the catch me game going out in the field, I put him in a stall. His stall manners were awful. He was used to having 3 or 4 mares run in and compete for food in a single stall. So he just learned to kick the crap out of everybody in the stall. He thought that was normal. I warned everybody, don't go anywhere in that stall. And I put a bag of treats on the outside of the stall. And I said, everybody walking by, just hand him a treat. Pretty soon he was like, where's the door? He met me at the door every time after that. He's not a dumb horse. But that worked pretty well for him, but he's a left brain introvert by nature. So that's why it worked so well. Excellent. Excellent, excellent. Well, this we kind of got into some deep end stuff here. We got a little detail on the Catch Me game in such a way that I hope it maybe became more meaningful to you. Please, please, please follow up at the Savvy Club. If you're not a member yet, jump in because the whole curriculum is right there and it's so sequential and so well thought out, so put together well. I haven't met a single horse problem yet that I haven't been able to apply that structure to and have it really solve the problem, if not make the problem go away completely. So it's pretty amazing. And it's also important that you understand there is that sequence. So sometimes, like me, like I said, I want to jump way ahead and do this thing, and maybe I didn't do all these other things leading up to it first. And I think that's pretty important. Cool. All right. Guys did awesome. This was great. Next Saturday, we have a couple other things. Marianne just sent me a video of some Liberty with her horse, Kid. So I want to show you that next Saturday. Sorry, Marianne, we ran out of time. So you can look forward to that. And I'll keep you posted on Facebook and my website of what the lesson will be next week. But as I said, if you're interested, it's pretty easy just to get somebody to grab your cell phone and do a quick short video. And if you have the levels program, that's the audition pages on the audition side of things in the Savvy Club, there's a task list or a self-assessment list. That would be a great thing to look at and go, I think I would like to video that one thing there and send it to Tom and get some help with that. And that would make a great topic for these things too. Kind of just what we've been doing. Great, guys. Well, that's about it. See you on the internet, and Mike and I are doing well down here. So we'll do a Savvy clap, and then I'll turn the recorder off, and then it's happy hour. Are you ready? Savvy. Thanks, everybody. And stop recording. Boom. Do you want the cloud recorded? Yes.